Friends, family, welcome to another International Bible Sunday School lesson. I'm your host today, Pastor Donald Wicks from Jeter Park Missionary Baptist Church. And we have another Bible experience just for you. Today we are looking at the book of Nehemiah. And we are in Nehemiah, the second chapter, verses 11 through 20. Today is April the 18th, 2021. Our subject for the day is Nehemiah, the captive cupbearer, rebuilds a nation. And about this book of Nehemiah, I'll give you a few facts about this book. If you aren't familiar with Nehemiah, the name Nehemiah actually means comfort of Yahweh. Comfort of Yahweh. And Nehemiah is the author of this book. It was written around 425 BC. This is the 16th book of the Old Testament and the 16th book in your Bible. This is the 11th of the 12th book of history. And of course, Nehemiah was a cupbearer to the king Artaxerxes, who was the king while the children of Israel were down in captivity in Persia. Of course, Nehemiah was given authority, and as a cupbearer, he had become the governor of Jerusalem, and he ruled for over 14 years. Nehemiah was charged with rebuilding the city, and he did it, y'all, in 52 days. 52 days. You talking about moving and grooving. In this book of Nehemiah, everything Nehemiah did is included, and it was restored by Nehemiah, except placing the king back on the throne. Why? Because we know who the new king was, and that was Jesus. Let's put this on rewind before we get into the gist of our lesson. Now, Nehemiah had been informed of the disgraceful appearance that the city of David was in. And this hurt Nehemiah deeply. You don't want to see anything that belonged to God laying in disarray. Nehemiah informed King Artaxerxes, and he was sad at his heart. Nehemiah was granted permission to return to Judah and to rebuild the city of Jerusalem. Nehemiah was given a written letter or permission to do his work straight from the king. Now, you can't get no more than that. I know you're excited, so let's get into it. Nehemiah chapter 2, verse 11. So I came to Jerusalem and was there 3 days. Nehemiah left Persia and he returned to Jerusalem. Now remember, this is after the captivity was ending. And Nehemiah stayed in Jerusalem for 3 days. Nehemiah only told his intent to rebuild the city to two people. He told the king and he told the queen. Nehemiah expected to have opposition for rebuilding this city, so he kept it close to his vest. Nehemiah 2 and verse 12. And I arose in the night, and I and some few men with me. Neither told I any man what my God had put in my heart to do at Jerusalem. Neither was there any beast with me, save the beast that I rode upon. Nehemiah has total permission to do what he's doing. All right? He's taking precautions so that the word doesn't get out before it needs to get out. Nehemiah arose, y'all, in the middle of the night because of the urgency and the secrecy of rebuilding Jerusalem was to him. He took as little compliment as he could. Why, you say? Because you know what happens when you get a lot of folks together, right? The plan goes awry. So he told no man what he was doing, and he took no extra supplies or animals with him. You say, why didn't he tell? Because people talk too much. Let's just be real about it. People love to yiggity yak, the yiggity, yiggity, yiggity yak. They talk too much. We tell things we don't need to tell. And everybody do not want to see us prosper. You wonder why your enemies know your battle plan. It's because you told them. All right? People won't even help you, but they will block your way from doing what you need to do. You need to understand this. People will ask you your business just so they can get in your business. That's why you don't let the left hand does not always need to know what the right hand is doing. Nehemiah 2 and verse 13. And I went out by night by the gate of the valley, even before the dragon well, and to the dung port, and viewed the wall of Jerusalem, which were broken down, and the gates thereof were consumed with fire. Now, Nehemiah mentioned three things in here on his trip. He's surveying the land. He's taking a trip around the city. First, he mentions the valley gate. The valley gate, or the western side of Jerusalem, it opened toward the valley of Hinnom. That's the valley gate. Now, the dragon well, as it was called, was a spring known generally. You heard of the pool of Siloam? Well, this is where they thought that the water came from the dragon's mouth. By the way that it looked, they called it the pool of Siloam. Right? And then, of course, you had the dung port. And this gate is just what it says. When you finish handling your business went out that gate. That's the dung port. All right? Okay. Nehemiah 2 and 14. As I went on to the gate of the fountain and to the king's pool, but there were no place for the beasts that were under me to pass. Now remember, the city is in ruins. The gates are torn down. The wall is destroyed. The horses are tall, so they couldn't get in and out like they wanted to. The gate of the fountain was the gate between two walls. If you read 2 Kings 25 and 4, you'll see that there. And he goes on to say there was no place for the beast that was under me to pass. That's because of the rubbish and the trash and the blockades that were in there. The city was burned to the ground when the siege took place. So Nehemiah had to dismount in the dark, and he had to go on by foot. You think about that. He could have stepped on nails or anything, any manner of things. All right, but he was determined to go on. And I love it when Christians are determined. Nehemiah 2 and verse 15. Then went I up into the night by the brook, and viewed the wall, and turned back, and entered by the gate of the valley, and so returned. Nehemiah is saying he went in by the brook of Kidron. which skirted the city on the east. This was like a brook, a stream, and it went around the city on the east side. All right. From this, he would be able to look up and see the eastern wall along its whole length and to see its condition. Remember, they utterly destroyed Jerusalem. All right. Following the brook, he was brought to the northeastern angle of the city. And once he reached this, he turned back. And at the northern wall, Nehemiah re-entered the gate of the valley. The way he came back that same way. And all he saw was destruction. All right. Nehemiah 2 and verse 16. And the ruler knew not whither I went or what I did, neither had I as yet told it to the Jews, nor to the priest, nor to the nobles, nor to the rulers, nor to the rest that did the work. Now, when Nehemiah arrived in Jerusalem, he found no single individual in charge. Some of the people had already returned earlier into Jerusalem. All right, they were released in phases out of their captivity. But the city still sat in ruins, even though there were people there occupying the city. All right, there were several people in charge, but no single people or person in charge. It was set up like a town council or city council. The rest that did the work, he's talking about people that were commissioned to do certain things. But consequently, they didn't rebuild the city. Nehemiah 2 and 17. Then said I unto them, ye see the distress that we are in, how Jerusalem lieth waste, and the gate thereof are burned with fire. Come, and let us build up the wall of Jerusalem, that we be no more a reproach. Nehemiah said to them, now, you see, you look, you living here, you living in this filth, you living in this destroyed city, but yet you done nothing about it. So now let's do something about it. Nehemiah appealed to the people about the urgency to rebuild for God. Jerusalem is afflicted and laying in ruins, is what he's saying. All right. The people have suffered, and now it's time for them to show God that their living is not in vain, y'all. Nehemiah 2 and verse 18. Then I told them of the hand of my God, which was good upon me, as also the king's word that he had spoken unto me. And they said, let us raise up and build. So they strengthened their hand for this good work. Nehemiah finally told the people what God had promised to do, to rebuild Jerusalem. Nehemiah also told them about his personal relationship with the king. Nehemiah informed them that the king had given him permission to rebuild the city. And if the people did not rebuild, they would be rebelling against the king. The people agreed to rebuild Jerusalem. Nehemiah 2 and 19. But when Sanballat, the Horonite, and Tobiah, the servant, the Ammonite, and Geshem, the Arabian, heard it, they laughed us to scorn and despised us and said, what is this thing that ye do? Will ye rebel against the king? Now, you got folks that will always come up against you. These folks were from 3 different nations. Sanballat was a Horonite. Tobiah was the servant of the Amalekites. And Geshem was an Arabian. And these three representatives from three different nations did not want Jerusalem to be rebuilt. All right? And that shouldn't surprise you, because people just don't want to see you advance. Y'all should know that by now. Nehemiah 2:20. Then answered I them and said unto them, the God of heaven, he will prosper us. Therefore, we his servant will arise and build, but ye have no portion, no right, no memorial in Jerusalem. Nehemiah said, God will protect them. You three, from y'all three nations, y'all can do whatever you want to. Because Nehemiah understood the fact, when God is for you, who can stand against you? Nehemiah understood that. And he said, but y'all, don't even come here, because you don't have no portion in Jerusalem. This is not for you. God will help us. God will prosper us. Nehemiah found that out. And brethren, I'm here to tell you, just like God prospered Jerusalem and God prospered Nehemiah, God will prosper us if we stay on the Lord's side and do what the Lord is asking us to do. As always, I'm Pastor Donald Wicks from Jeter Park Missionary Baptist Church, located in Memphis, Tennessee, at 4815 Percy Road. Our phone number is 901-789-1300. And I tell you, if you ever want to be on the Lord's side, this is a mighty good place to be. Because one day, all of us want to hear God say, well done, my good and my faithful servant. Come on up. I'll see you next week.